Cardinal pair of Christy Herman and Stacy Mokris stood tall in Game 2 of their match against Elmhurst and highlight this week's game-changing performance. After dropping the first game, North Central fell behind in Game 2 13-9. However, Anna Wirtz would tie the game 15-15 after a Blue Jays miscue. And with the score knotted, Christy Herman and Stacy Mokris would deny Melissa Milkey the kill with a timely block, giving their team the 1-point advantage. The Cardinals would not trail again in Game 2 or Game 3, winning the match in 4. Senior libero Stephanie Ryding was named to the All-CCIW second team as a sophomore and first team as a junior, and is currently second in 2 categories on North Central's all-time records list. Last year as a freshman, outside hitter Crystal Wright was a CCIW honorable mention. This season, she's leading the Cards in kills with more than 200 and was recently named the Conference Offensive Player of the Week. Guys, thanks for joining us. Stephanie, you're libero this year. Last year you were a setter. It's a little bit different of a position. What's the difference between libero and everybody else on the court?
Well, besides the different colored jersey, I have a few different defensive player rules, and my job is essentially to run our defensive line. So in a lot of senses, it makes perfect sense that I went from setter, who runs the offensive line, back to libero, who runs the defensive line. They're 2 leadership roles, and with Ryan able to take over our offensive line, I was able to step back into my older position.
Definitely. Now, last year you were named the CCIW Defensive Player of the Week 3 times, this year 1 time. How is the team gelling so far? We're about midway through. How does the team look?
I think we're gelling great. We gelled really good during preseason, and then obviously we had a little bit of a bump at Carthage, but if you're sitting halfway through your season looking at 18-1, right. We have a lot of fun at practices. We hang out with each other off the court. We love being on the court together. We love game day. We even have fun traveling. I don't know what other teams we've had that drive 3 hours to Milliken but have a great time there and back.
Certainly.
So
definitely. So far this season, you're sitting in 2nd place in 2 statistical categories, digs and service aces. We hope that you can break those records by the end of the season. What does it mean to you to be on a list of some of North Central's greatest volleyball players?
It's an honor. I mean, in digs, I'm following behind Mia Peretta, who was our assistant coach for years and a 4-year varsity starter. She was great front row, back row. She's just somebody to really look up to and want to play like. So that's a great honor, and I frankly don't know if I'll catch her, but I'm willing to try.
Sure, sure. Let's kind of talk about conference. This season, top to bottom, the conference looks really strong, regardless of the record. Clearly, with the 2-1 conference mark, the only loss being to Carthage. Can you kind of just talk about the opponents that you're playing, maybe the matches that you have coming up with Illinois Wesleyan and so on, and what the makeup of the conference is, and how on any given night, one team can beat another team?
Well, that's very true, and we've always said that our conference is incredibly strong. Last year at the end of the season, every CCIW team had winning records. Not necessarily in conference, but every team had won more than they had lost. So that's great competition, and everything that we do in practices is geared towards our CCIW matches without overlooking our weekend tournaments as well. Right. So it can go either way.
Right. And specifically with it going either way, looking last night at Elmhurst, it looked at some points it could go either way. Again, how important are those mini stretches where, Elmhurst might be rattling off 6 straight points and there's a dig or a block there that kills their rally? How important is that to the team, and how do you guys respond to that on the court at the time?
It's very important. Like Coach mentioned earlier, it's a mental game. Once you start getting a run, we like to stay in rotations, and certain rotations are stronger or weaker than others. And we know when we have a dominant front row, maybe our shorter players are in the back, that we have to hold those rotations so that we have Stacy, we have Christy and Amy, we have Crystal and our other outside hitters up there. We want to hold them in the front row. So those are really important runs.
Definitely. What did Coach Kunka tell the players maybe after the first time out in the first game or the second game, where you made some adjustments and kind of the momentum shifted after that point?
Yeah, besides the initial, we need to shake this off, it was essentially that we've worked hard enough to be better than this team, and we haven't played like ourselves yet. We hadn't done much in the first game, as a lot of people saw, so all we essentially had to do was play like we were capable of, and we would be able to defeat them in the next 3, which we did.
Definitely. And Elmhurst certainly isn't a bad team.
No, not at all.
What does the team look to do with a handful more conference games coming up to kind of stay on track and go up for a bid for the CCIW title?
Yeah, we like to learn from our mistakes. So when we go down to Wesleyan, we'll really focus on securing the first game and then moving forward from there.
Sure. Great, great. Crystal, you're a sophomore. You're also having a stellar season. You're leading the team in kills with over 200. Last night you had 12, along with 7 digs. What can you kind of attribute the success that you've had last season and this season, you know, with how you're doing so well?
I'd have to say it was the training that we've been going through. Preseason is pretty rigorous, and I mean, it's constant, you know, 3 days and stuff like that. And
right.
I just think that the team coming together, and it is, especially with, you know, having just the small amount of girls on our team, really kind of focusing on each other and really helping each other, you know, with the competition.
Definitely. You're getting a lot of help from Ryan Lally, the freshman setter. Doesn't always look like she's playing as a freshman. She's playing great. She had 45 assists last night. Can you kind of talk about the level that you're on with her and maybe the other front row with the assists and the kills there?
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's our first time, you know, playing with her, and we're doing pretty well. We're trying to, definitely last night we were mixing things up. We're trying new things here and there, and it's really working very well. I mean, we tried our front row. We all we're running different plays the second game, and it really worked out well.
Definitely. How important is it to the team to kind of mix up who's up there, who's getting the call, and who's pulling for the team's success?
It's very important. It's also important for communication, to know what's going on in their front row and knowing, you know, where everyone is. So, especially mixing it up is, you know,
definitely
very important.
Last night you mentioned that the team maybe motto this year is playing like a family or being like a family. Do you feel like that's how you're playing this season?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm the closest with these girls. It's incredible. Like I go to them for, you know, academic help. We go for, you know, we hang out on the weekends. I mean, it's very family oriented.
Again, you have a daunting CCIW test coming up with Wesleyan and Wheaton and so on and so forth. But you also mentioned last night that you're looking to get to the CCIW tournament and you're looking to go back against Carthage.
Oh, yeah.
What would you do this time around? You know, what adjustments would you guys make going against Carthage that you maybe weren't prepared for in that first meeting?
I think it's a big mental thing. We just need to be mentally prepared, ready for, you know, a great game, and we have to realize that they're going to come back with some great swings and some great blocks, and we just got to really work through that, especially as that family orientation.
Definitely, definitely. Coach Kuhnke, can you kind of just talk about the adjustments that the team might have to make heading into the rest of conference? You've played very well so far, but if there were some things that you would change or that you would need to improve on, what do you think that would be?
I think we need to continue working on our defensive, our defense at the front, in the front row, our blocking, which we made adjustments on last night. We got better hands on the balls, but going against a Wesleyan, maybe looking ahead going against a Carthage again, those are big teams, physical teams that block well and hit well. And for us, that's going to be an area that we've got to continue to get better and getting our hands on the ball, lining up better with our hitters, so that our back row, our staffs in the back row, know where they can get set and be behind the defense in the front row. So certainly, that's going to be a big thing for us.
Great. Now, Crystal, your first experience on the team was last year as a freshman. You're a sophomore this year. I get that. Again, the teams look pretty similar as far as on paper and the roster. What's the biggest difference between last year's team and this year's team?
I'd have to say our offense is a lot faster this year. We're working with a new setter, and we're just really trying to keep that fast, keep that, you know, ahead of all the other teams.
Right.
So it was a big thing for us.
Coach Kuhnke, Crystal, Stephanie, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stick around. Cardinal Sports Information Director Clark Tuscher will talk North Central Athletics when we return.